first round in Erodium 1, and I was facing this guy, Kiki, in this round. He didn't quite double my GP. I think, yeah, he has like 5.5 million GP, Sith Eternal Emperor, lots of high relics, but then he also has like a bunch of stuff, Gear 12. And in kind of looking at his history, there you see he's got both Negotiator and Malevolence, and a whole bunch of ships with relic pilots. Ooh. Um, but I was looking in his history, and I'd seen he has usually placed Sith Eternal on defense, like he did here, and then he's had a tough time clearing gas. So you'll see I put Gas and Padme with 3PO, just as like a stronger defensive team. And I actually didn't put any
Oh wow.
defenses in my back row. Yeah, I just really was pretty confident he wasn't going to get through that, and he didn't get through Gas, and then didn't even attempt Padme. I was a little worried. Not, I haven't ever seen or gone against full Relic 7 Geos like this, so I was a little worried about that. And then obviously he's got a Padme team, and then this Gas team I wasn't too worried about. But um, I don't know. I felt fairly confident I had kept enough stuff for offense because I really only had to place 3 teams on defense to stop him. So this is the tried and true undermanned GAC strategy of just blocking off one side and trying to be more efficient. So here I started on 5s just because his gas. Well, let's face it, gas when gas is not very tanky is just not that difficult. And even his 5s really wasn't all that tanky because you saw my Han shoots first, basically took him out. I guess I could have done the drive-by there, but there probably was not any risk in it, but who knows? I might have triggered a sacrifice or done something weird. But I'm not going to be able to get everybody out before gas stands up again, but it's, again, not even, it's like a Gear 11 gas. So nothing too scary here. I haven't had to try my CLS against like a really strong gas team yet. I've done it a couple times in Squad Arena just to play around with it. So I'm kind of comfortable with the matchup, but fortunately this guy had not put enough gear into his gas for it to really be too strong of a defensive team. And really taking CLS may have been overkill here. And I don't know. Would have liked to have maybe been a little more efficient on banners, but at this point I knew I kind of just needed to clear the teams. So this is usually a pretty standard counter for me. I don't think it's a common thing that people will take Darth Revan against Padme. I just used Darth Revan as my arena team for a long time, and then it also helped that this guy was pretty slow. So you see, I don't even bring Malik in because I actually wanted to use Malik on those Geos, not because I thought I needed him, but just to be like doubly sure. So instead of starting with Fear, I actually start with Shock, just because it keeps GK from taunting. And then it works out really well that you can kind of do all your AoEs and you get Death Mark on Padme, and Anakin's almost dead, so HK just blows them both up. And then it's pretty easy cleanup from there. But this was early on when I was doing this, facing Padmes in Squad Arena and then facing in the GAC with Darth Revan. I used to start with Fear, and I found it works a little bit better to start with his Shock, just so you can keep General Kenobi from doing anything too ornery. So like I said, this is the Relic 7 Geo battle. Still pretty new. I think this was the first GAC I actually had all of my Sith Trio relic. And maybe a little bit of overkill, but I didn't really think I was going to need to use them anywhere else. And just, I unfortunately have lost a number of battles thinking that my Vader could take out Theos, or thinking Sith Trio could take them out, or vice versa. And not gonna lie, it doesn't start off super great. I'm really hoping this Saber Chuck here will take out Spy, and it doesn't. But fortunately, I've got Malik in there that starts taunting in case anything, they get off. It'll stop any turn meter train going because they'll all get Fear, and Nihilists will reduce all their cooldowns and everything. So it was not the standard just kind of take out all the Geos in one merciless massacre, but I'm able to get back around to another one before they really get to do anything too exciting. and it's pretty easy from there. So I think this is why, as you get to the GP level we're at, you kind of stop seeing geos on defense, um, because it just is a little bit too easy to get some pretty high banners on these. And like I said, I probably could have gone without a couple of characters here, but um, based on, I think he dropped an attack on my Old Republic, and then he didn't clear um, my Padme or my gas, so I knew I had kind of an extra battle wiggle room, so I wasn't too worried about it. And then I see stronger fleets than I'm used to seeing on defense. Fortunately, his General Kenobi's not very strong, so Executrix, even though it can be tricky for me to take out just because my fleets aren't super strong, it doesn't have a ton of like recovery or staying power or anything. So I felt pretty confident that I would at least two-shot it. But yeah, his negotiator was fairly weak actually. And this is a battle that I've done a million times at this point, just because fortunately my shard has not quite been taken over by Executrix, or by Executor, sorry. So this is my fleet arena battle every day that I do when I'm trying to collect gems. And it
That
actually
was a
got a
little
little scary
scary.
here. Yeah, it got a little scary because for whatever I didn't see healing immunity or buff immunity, so I'm not sure why Anakin didn't go into stealth and get the extra protection there. But fortunately, I was able to get off um, the whatever the ability is that would save his life, and he's got a lot of extra protection. This, admittedly, I use Houndstooth normally in Squad Arena, so I think it's possible had he had better ships. Like I don't know why he brought that new bomber out in this lineup.
Yeah, that's an interesting
Yeah, it
addition.
just didn't really work for him, but fortunately it made this a little bit easier for me. And now obviously Anakin's open, so I'm just trying to, not make him angry, give him an extra turn, and trying to get back around to something that'll blow him up, which I do with fives there. There wasn't, normally I like to save that for when everybody's got a lot of valor because it increases the damage it does a lot. Um, didn't have it there, but I was fairly certain I'd take it out. This was, as much as I said I've done this battle a million times, this one was very different than it normally goes, just because he had a bit of an odd lineup. And fortunately, it turned out okay, because that, especially given the start, could have turned out to be not quite so easy. And here, so sometimes I'll take Millennium Falcon in with Grievous's ship because it can be pretty useful in offense, just because it's really difficult to actually get through all the Vulture droids to target him. And if you take out all the Vulture droids to target Millennium Falcon, you're obviously just feeding turn meter to General Grievous. So I'm only going in with 4 ships, which I thought might not be enough.
Yeah, I
Um,
gotta admit that that's a little sketchy.
yeah, I mean, you get the Buzz droids or the Vulture droids anytime you do anything. It's just there's not a lot of regeneration or really um, much health or protection on my Geo ships. And this fleet, especially, I believe he has the new ship, which comes in. Oh, okay, he doesn't have it. But if he'd had that new bomber that comes in and flicks buff immunity and then kind of has his little AoE, it could have been a little sketchier. And it still kind of is because you can see I've got this burning on me, and I've got I think my cleanse is down, and then he just burns through my
Oh,
houndstooth. So it's yeah, things are not looking great at all. But
how
you
do
see,
you win this?
well, I would like to say immense skill.
Oh, okay.
Um, Realistically, I just get to the annoying part of the Malevolence fleet where I have Spy on the field, so every time he gets hit, he goes into stealth. And I can just kind of stay ahead of his offense by getting Buzz droids out there. Um, yeah, I just got Malevolence to 6 stars, and I'm getting closer to having it 7 stars, and I'm slowly farming up the ships, and I will very much look forward to the time when I actually have this full fleet, because it's always kind of a sketchy affair. Um,
Yeah, I gotta
And
admit, this is one of the sketchiest like ship battles I've watched.
yeah, it and I would like to not have to use Houndstooth here. I'll probably keep it here in the meantime because I'm also about to get my bomber up, the Galactic Republic bomber. But it's only 6 stars right now, so I think that's why that other battle was a little sketchy. And here I was like, oh, it's gonna be
Um,
great. I've got it won, and then no.
oh,
Um, so
dang.
not ideal, obviously, but um, I could afford to drop a battle, and fortunately, I kept my rebels. So I don't know. Had I kept Millennium Falcon, it it might have been a one shot. I think there's a pretty good chance I either wouldn't have had. I guess I would have probably reinforced with him, but then I don't know that my Millennium Falcon would have survived uh, the capital ship ultimate. Um, and then I probably could have gotten a couple more banners there, but I think it's one extra banner. At this point, I've taken out his top two zones. I think I'm only like 50 banners behind, and I've got two squads to take out, and I've still got my full contingent of Jedi, which I was doing my tried and true method of splitting them up. I guess I actually was a little worried about this trooper team, and I think I was a little surprised how fast they were because I wasn't thinking about Tarkin gives them like 30 bonus speed, um, but fortunately my Revan's pretty fast, and obviously he gets a bunch of speed, and you can just super manipulate turn meter. And yeah, I think Piet had almost taken a turn in there, so I was like, well, maybe I'll just stun him and keep that from happening. And then Revan's just a beast, and is one of my favorite teams to underman with, mostly because he was the first team, like meta team, I guess, that I got. So I have a long, long history of using him in Grand Arena and in Squad Arena. Um, Rest in peace, Squad Arena. But now you've got these crappy troopers left over. Look at Jolie getting in there with high single fire damage, um, and you just take them out pretty easily. So I'm pretty sure this wins the GAC. But Qui-Gon's pretty fun to play around with. So I think I throw him in there with Yoda, which is not like the I guess traditional team, because obviously people like to run Qui-Gon with Anakin because you can just blow everybody up. Um,
Is this
this
the
is
new Mace
Yeah, I
in
think
this
this
one?
was the new Mace. I don't know. I don't think he does anything exceptional. It's nice that he gets another assist. Because in this lineup, like just Yoda having foresight, is pretty much enough to blow somebody up most of the time. Because it gets just an insane amount of offense, and I would probably have even more offense if my Qui-Gon wasn't gear 10. But there's only so much gear to go around. I guess he's on my list to gear up, especially once I start heading towards Jedi Master Kenobi. So yeah, here I'm literally like reading the kit because I'm like, what exactly does Windu do now? And I know beating on Kylo is not always like the best thing to do, but I knew I would take him out eventually, and then no one else on this team really scared me. It's gonna take a while to get through crew, but um, he doesn't really do a ton of damage or anything. So like the worst thing that could happen is they kill Qui-Gon. Um, and then all that does is just beef up Yoda so that he actually one-shots everybody. And then Mace can get in there. So yeah, it's pretty easy battle. Which is, I don't know why. It's interesting to me that people have the rosters that they do and like have all these relics and put down defenses like this. I guess they're just used to being able to take out everybody else's defense and having their Galactic Legend kind of hold the line. But obviously here, like I even dropped a ship battle and won with a pretty comfortable margin that even if he had taken out my gas, still would have had to get through a pretty beefy Padme team with 3PO. And he just didn't have the roster to do that in spite of really not having any solid team on defense outside of his Galactic Legend. So yeah, it was a pretty easy first win in Erodium 1. Thanks in large part to a little bit better modding on my end, and then just predictable opponents that fortunately use the same strategy over and over again.
Yeah, I think that's honestly the best advantage we have is a lot of people really do just use the exact same defense every single time. Like, I don't think they take any time to look up our roster. They just assume whatever they put down is going to automatically work. So you can definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, and it's just a great example of how like obviously Galactic Legends are tough to get through. Again, I kind of put most of my stuff down on defense that maybe I could have tried to two-shot Sith Eternal with. Um, but if you just have one of the stronger meta teams that has pretty good mods on it and the whole team's pretty solidly geared, they can be really tough to take out. And they can effectively be a Galactic Legend if the other person doesn't have any left because there are a limited number of counters to them. And if the other person has those counters, but they're, not fully geared up or don't have great mods on them, they're just not going to be able to get through teams like they did here. So again, another boring half GAC, but I'll take the 500 crystals or whatever that comes along with winning it between the bonus for winning and then the bonus for your placement at the end.